The Big 12 College Experience edition of the Baylor Bears 2024 team preview on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is giving away $15 million in Best Ball Mania 5. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your first-time deposit. Offer up to $250 bonus in cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And we are also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has the best AI picks and your projections with their new college football product that's about to drop. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. And welcome everybody into the Big 12 College Experience, part of the TCE Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I am Moneyline Mac, the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And this is a special episode because this guy's our Baylor insider with the Sikkim Bears, because this guy's got family everywhere along the Big 12, whether it's in Stillwater, Fort Worth, Waco, Orlando, Cincinnati. He is the Big 12 guru, a.k.a. the green mowing, weed growing, Troy Tuning. What is up, brother?
What is going on, man? We have a team preview here that, I mean, this could be the final days for the guy, or this could be a complete turnaround of a year where the dude earns himself like a 4-year contract right afterwards. I mean, because if Aranda does anything here, he'll get to stay as long as he wants, because Baylor doesn't really like to move guys around that often. So this could be a huge swing for our boy Dave Aranda. We'll see how things go, though.
Getting right into it. Getting right into hot and heavy. We're talking headlines. So, Baylor fans, last year was a disaster. I mean, there's no other way to really phrase it. They finished 3-9. They finished 2-7 in the Big 12, tied for 11th, and luckily for them, they won that UCF game where they were down about 100 points, and they found a way to win that game. If they don't win that one, they win 2 games. So Baylor, clearly a very disappointing season last year, and the result, Dave Aranda's on the hot seat, 23-25, 15-21 in the Big 12. The outlier, which is becoming more and more evident that it's an outlier, the 2021 season where they won the Big 12, 12-2 overall, 7-2 in league play that year. So, Troy, you are a Baylor fan. Thoughts on the Dave Aranda era as we enter year number 5? Very up and down.
Well, everybody always does their best to look through a bunch of different statistics, or like your play style, like how often you're calling shot plays versus running plays, blah, 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 blah. For Baylor, it's pretty simple when I look at it. 2021, they ran for over 3,000 yards, putting 5 yards per carry. 2022, they ran for 2,300 yards. Last year, they ran for 1,300 yards. There's a pretty big difference between 1,300 and 3,000 plus, and the exact opposite occurred to their record every single time. So a lot of issues up front for them, and it shows with, just extra injuries to guys that are important to your team because you can't protect the quarterback or guys in the backfield, and then everything starts to fall apart because you don't have the depth of an Alabama or an Ohio State where you could lose 2 or 3 guys. That sets you back at Baylor. No matter how much we talk about, paying transfers and having a little bit more depth than normal, all the other schools are doing that too. So when you lose 2 or 3 guys that are supposed to be in your starting 11, you're fucked in this day and age of football. Even if it's a week-to-week thing, some of these teams that are only going to win 3 and 4 games a year, if you're not on your A game, you could slip up in that situation. So to me, it just looks like they had a pretty sweet identity where Dave Aranda was calling plays, really focusing on the linebackers, and they were fucking grounding and pounding the ball. And they seem like they're going to try to pass the ball more here, but it's all just your protection and who you have up front that sets everything up for any kind of an offense. And they haven't had that the last 2 years. So that's got to be right where you look right away.
Yeah, and Troy, so we started this show last year. One of the all-time shockers was them. Honestly, they lost 42-31. The game wasn't even that close. Them getting completely embarrassed on opening day against Texas State was a sign of things to come last year. They did lose a couple close games, whether it's a Houston game. I can make the argument that they maybe should have won that Utah game without Cam Rising in week number 2. I thought that they were right there. But this has been a downward trajectory from 2021, 6-7 a couple years ago, where they folded down the stretch and that carried over into 2023. You mentioned it, the rushing stats per attempt that also can in college football deal with, can you protect the passer? Because if you have a bunch of negative yards in rushing, it's because you're getting your ass sacked a lot. So we're going to talk about their changes in the portal, what they brought back, what they defensively, offensively, they may look under Spavital, who comes over from Cal. But first, I got to talk about the MLB Gambling Podcast, because they got MLB picks all season long, every single day. Plus, the college football experience is knee-deep in 134 team previews, and so are we in team number 3 here in the Big 12. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast today with the SGPN app. All right, Troy. The overall outlook. So we talked Dave Aranda, and the difference of. Go ahead.
Just because you had brought it up, I was going to mention, in retrospect, that Texas Tech and that Texas State and Utah starting the season the way they did, and they put up a garbage time touchdown to make it 42-31. But
yeah,
those were probably their 2 best games of the year, to be completely honest. They had a pretty good shot at beating Utah, and then but yeah, I mean, at first we thought it was a pretty big shock, but Texas State's for real. They didn't just do that to Baylor, but it certainly had an effect on Baylor because it occurred in week 1, and just it was train wreck right off the bat.
Yep. Yeah. No, it set the tone for the whole year, and so that tone comes in to a pivotal year for Dave Aranda. And you know what Dave Aranda is going to do? He's going to go right back to his roots, and he's going to call the defensive plays, kind of like Neil Brown did. Neil Brown was entering year number 5 last year. He took the offensive plays. He was able to go 8-4, save his job. I mentioned it. Spavital coming over from he's actually the former Texas State head coach.
Texas State,
but then he was at Cal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was with Dana at West Virginia. Offensively, they're going to be, you would think, much more exciting. And our thumbnail is Dequan Finn, the player of the year in the MAC, the quarterback from Toledo. Troy, this is a new era with the Baylor Bears on the offensive side of things. What are your thoughts on this offense as a whole?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, it's still going to come down to the protection. But besides that, when you look at, Monterey Baldwin stays, you get Dequan Finn to transfer over. You lose Dabney at tight end, who goes to TCU. I mean, from Baylor to TCU is just fucking ugly. Should be illegal. You should be put in jail.
Disgusting.
It's gross. But they pick up that Trigg kid who transfers in from Ole Miss. So, you still have Dom Richardson. You still have Richard Reese in the backfield. All the other position players seem like it's going to be – there's a chance that they surprise people, that's for sure. But it all comes down to a horrible offensive line that they're talking about returning 4 guys from. The big question is, do you want to return those guys? I mean, I know they were super young last year, so you're hoping that everyone can kind of take a step forward. But, man, yeah, I mean, I guess you hope that Spavital calls a little bit quicker of an offense, and maybe that gives you some more quarterback protection just by the sheer fact of the ball being out of his hands. Do you think that, you could cover up a lot with that in theory?
Yeah, I like Spavital. I came in hot with Aranda being super negative so far with the trajectory of the program, but I'm gonna paint the picture of why I kind of actually like Baylor headed into this year. They return 16 starters from last year, 8 on the offense, 8 on the defense. Phil Steele's experience rank has him 25th, and Bill Conley's production rank has him 9th. So they weren't very good last year, but I also think getting Finn in there under Spavital, and having a lot of the returners in that new system, maybe they can catch lightning in a bottle this first year, Troy.
I mean, everything else is there in place for him. You've got Ashton Hawkins transferred over from Texas State. So you have another wide receiver that goes with Monterey Baldwin you really just want Monterey Baldwin running go routes on every single play, and he's a burner. I think that Finn was a pretty savvy transfer to go target when maybe you're not going to be able to get some of the big name guys. Let's just put our name in the hat really early for a MAC guy that, I'm just assuming if you play MAC football, you fucking love football. It's some of the worst conditions that we see on fucking Tuesday nights in the pouring down cold rain and shit like that. You've got to just love the game, which most of the time for college quarterbacks, that's all that's required. If you pay, 3 to 4 more hours of studying another team's tendencies, that's going to pay off, and you're going to be able to, not necessarily fake it till you make it. But when you look at the other names of the quarterbacks in this league, Dequan Finn is going to get looked over. At least, even if he has a good first couple of weeks, he's still going to get looked over until at least the middle of the year when people finally start to think maybe they have caught lightning in a bottle. But it's going to be tough for them because, again, they're another one of the schools with an out-of-conference, in-conference game against the team that people really think can compete for the conference title. So they're going to have a fast start. That's for dang sure. And Dave's got to know that the seat is getting warm. The seat has got to be pretty hot right now. There's no real.
Well, he mentioned that at media days when they asked him, "Hey, how are you guys recruiting better?" And he said, "We're paying them." I said, "I respect that
players.
answer." He's not running from. He's like, "I don't like this era, but you know what? Adapt or perish. Adapt or get fired." Troy, you mentioned Aranda taking over the play calling. What are your expectations for the defense? Tibbles likes the defense. He's barking. Let's go. The dogs are barking on the defensive end.
Tibbles is all pumped up on the defense.
You're thinking, come on, Aranda.
You're thinking that the linebackers should be the strength with Aranda calling plays. Just superficially right off the top, you're thinking that a guy that enjoys the linebacker play is going to put that position in a place to, consistently make plays, whether it's stuffing the run or maybe trying to find somebody new on the edge. I know they couldn't really create any pressure at all last year, and it made the secondary look like they sucked. But if you're going to let any college quarterback stand back there for enough time to go through all 4 wide receivers and still then get back to the first and second all over again, you're probably not going to stop a team from throwing the ball downfield too much. I do think, they still have Matt Jones at the linebacking position, which he's probably the best player on the team, just overall. Hopefully, you've got a middle guy that can kind of plug, stop, run, and all that. But they're really kind of looking. I know they had a kid transfer, Steve Linton from Texas Tech came over, and they're maybe thinking that he can be that like hybrid edge rusher position of some sort, but they didn't have anybody that was going to consistently win any like against a pass blocker and create any pressure. They get stuck blitzing to try to create pressure, leave your secondary out to dry. They do get a lot of guys back on the back end. They get Caden Jenkins, Chateau Reed, Tevin Williams are all coming back. A couple of safeties. That shouldn't be a weakness unless there's another part of the defense that's absolutely horrible. And for me, the one where you're looking for that possible blow up, maybe, if they're not horrible, again, could be lightning in a bottle. The other 2 position groups between the linebackers and the secondary could begin to make plays if they're not being completely handicapped. But their big issue on defense is going to be D-line. And in the state of Texas, I don't see how difficult it is to get guys to chase the fucking football.
Yeah, they should be better. And when expectations are low at Baylor, that's when Baylor pops up. We are going to go game by game, talk their futures odds, over under win total, Big 12 futures on the other side. But we are got to talk about Underdog Fantasy because they just launched their new college football best ball product. And first place wins $20,000. Pick 8 gives you an opportunity to win 325 times your entry. $15 million in prizes with Best Ball Mania. And we're going to be doing a best ball draft here over at the Big 12 Experience all season long, and also doing an Underdog Fantasy lineup each and every week. So you're going to make sure you want to, follow Troy on Twitter. He gives out a best ball and an Underdog play daily. So at Troy Tuning. But most importantly, you got to use this right here. At TCE SGPN for the promo code so that you could get the best offer and best bang for your buck. Claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code right there. TCE SGPN. And we're also brought to you by none other than Game Time. If you want to go to a Baylor Bears game this year, or you want to go to the game in Salt Lake City at Utah, when Baylor's going out there, get over there to Game Time so that you can get the best deals, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and they're going to send you images of where your seats are. Absolute best. Love Game Time. I use Game Time all the time to get the best tickets and lowest price. Man, inflation's up. You got to be able to save a couple bucks here and there. So good way to do so is get on over there to Game Time. Use that promo code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back on the Big 12 College Experience, and we're talking sick 'em Baylor Bears, baby. The over-under win total for the 2024 Baylor Bears is set at 5.5. Those watching on youtube.com/college experience, that graphic, or the little ticker, whatever we call it. The odds to win the Big 12, I see a 75-1 to win the Big 12, 500-1 to win the national championship. Do not bet the national championship. They're not winning it all. Troy, what if I told you once upon a time in 2021, the Baylor Bears were 60-1 to win the Big 12, and now they're 75-1. I mean, first glance, I think we both lean over.
Yeah, I would lean towards the over on 5.5.
Yeah, last year, Troy, they were the over under was set at 7.5. Now it's come down to two total games, and they bring back 16 starters. I lean over, but we're gonna go game by game, and give out our final pick at the end of the episode because Baylor opens up with the Texans of Tarleton State. Hopefully, they don't get upset by a G5 Tarleton's FCS. This has got to be a win, right?
Yeah, I have this as a win. I don't think the Texans are quite Texas State.
Yeah, if they are, they belong at the Division I level, and they belong in the Sun Belt. So, because Texas State might win the freaking Sun Belt this year and maybe even get to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with Texas State. But this is a Baylor preview, week 2. Now, this is not a conference game, everybody.
No,
this is a shitty non-conference game for them because they got to go to Utah. This is a loss with Cam Rising.
And they almost got them last year too, but this is in Utah. So
yeah,
they almost got them last year and they went back up on backup. I don't think I'm going to ever give them this win, but this might be one you look at where Utah maybe sneaks out with maybe not the fastest start to the season, and Baylor maybe covers this depending on what they put it at.
Look ahead's 14.
Feel like it might be closer than that.
Yeah, we'll see. For example, if they stay within like a possession of Utah somehow, then I think that we know what we're getting with Baylor this year. So this is a big litmus test game, as they like to say. So we'll see how Baylor looks in Salt Lake City. Week 3, they're playing Air Force at home. This has got to be a win. Air Force is going to be down this year.
Yeah, I don't think Air Force is as good as they were last year. And again, I think you've got a team that's really going to focus on stopping the run. I don't know if Air Force quite has the athletes on the defensive side compared to the speed, at least, that Baylor has. So I'm going to go ahead and give Baylor this win.
So we both have them at 2-1. Next 3 games before the bye, Troy. At Colorado, BYU at home, at Iowa State. Can they go 2-1 in that stretch?
I was going to say, I think they can get 2. It feels like they could get BYU and Colorado. I don't know. Going to Ames is tougher in my book than going to Colorado.
I agree with you, especially. But the only problem is, what if Colorado's coming off like 2 losses and they're in a desperate spot? This is the most important game on the schedule. I think that they can get this one, but I think it's like a toss-up.
It might even dictate the over-under, whether they can get this Colorado game or not.
I think I agree with you. I'm going to give it to Baylor. I think.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give them Colorado and BYU and give Iowa State the win over them.
I like that. So
but I think in that group of 3, I think they can go 2-1. And I think in order for, like, I'm leaning over. I'm already slightly biased as a fan. I think I don't have like too big of a stretch giving them a 2-1 in that 3-game span.
We're in agreement. They have a bye week, and then they're at Texas Tech, who this is his former coordinator, Coach McGuire there in Lubbock. Last time they were in Lubbock, they absolutely kicked their ass, but then Texas Tech returned the favor last year in Waco. Then they get Gundy, and then they get TCU at home in the Butt Bowl. No. The Butt Bowl's Texas Tech and
Texas Tech, right up.
Yeah,
Baylor Texas Tech. BUTT.
So we got the Butt Bowl. What's TCU and Baylor called? It's the
something between Methodists and Baptists.
Hold on, I'm looking this up. The Blue Bonnet. It's the Blue Bonnet. Yeah. The Blue Bonnet title. Yep. What do you think, Troy? They got 2 home.
I think I'm going to give them Texas. I think I'm going to give them Texas Tech off of a bye.
Problem is Texas Tech's off a bye too, though.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not that high on Texas Tech this year. Once we get to the later of the alphabet teams, you'll be able to hear. I think I trust Dequan Finn more than I do Baron Morton.
Give me them to lose to Texas Tech, and then they get Oklahoma State and TCU.
I was going to give them Tech, and then TCU is a coin flip game. They might be able to get Oklahoma State if they can stop the run and force Allen to try to do a little bit too much. But I think Oklahoma State's on a completely different trajectory than Baylor this year. And by this time in the season, I think Oklahoma State is starting to get teams in a position where they really want them, where they've already had to play a bunch of games and you're about to have to stop Ollie. So let me give them 2-1, but against the 2 Texas schools.
Okay. Either way, I'm with you. 2-1. They find a way to grind out 2 wins here. So that puts us both at
that's 6
and 3. 6 and 3.
Yeah.
So we already hit the over. We hit the over by November 2nd on that TCU game. So we both like this team. At West Virginia, at Houston. I think that they win the Houston game. Although, man,
it feels like this late in the year against Houston is not going to be fun to play Willie Fritz by the time he's figured out this long of a season. I was going to give him 0-3 to finish, which is why everything falls on that Colorado game for my over.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, and they got to get 2-1 in that Texas Tech, OK State TCU stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Give me them to split at Kansas and at Houston. I think that they're going to lose in Morgantown. I think we both agree on that. They've never won in Morgantown.
Yeah, they don't play well there, and they're kind of playing a team right now that I don't think that they want to be West Virginia in terms of play style, but that's kind of what Dave Aranda wants. He wants guys that are going to hang around the program and actually, give a shit about the culture. West Virginia is already at that point. I think they've got a chance to win this game. I don't know about a blowout, but, a complete control from start to finish, kind of do your business style game. I would not be surprised if they beat Houston, but I would be very surprised at the end of the year if they get Kansas, unless for some reason Jalen's down.
Jalen Daniels, exactly. Yeah. So there's
a chance that Baylor wins 8 games.
Well, real quick. So you have met 6-6. I have met 7-5. We'll talk about best case scenario, and what the floor is here. But we also first got to talk about rhythm. If you're not checking out the AI picks, you're missing out, baby. Dominated the British Open and college football is on the horizon. You can customize your own betting models using the Rhythm Odds tools. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM today. And we're also brought to you by Circa Survivor, baby. Circa Survivor, Circa Millions are back, bigger, better than ever before. 16 million guaranteed in prizes up for grabs. And all you do is pick 5 NFL ATS games each and every week. But you got to sign up there in Vegas, or if you use the football contest proxy code to save you $50 off with the promo code SGP. And Ryan and Sean will be out there a month from now. So get on over there to Vegas, the greatest sports book in America. Circa Survivor, Circa Sports, Circa Millions. All right, Troy, we talked about it. We went game by game, or we kind of went section by section on this. The floor, let's go ceiling first. Could they, they have 6 road games. I think best case scenario,
8 wins.
They're not winning. They're not going to win at Utah. That's a loss. I don't think they're going to win in Morgantown.
I think even including like the best case scenario and giving them a loss to Utah, I think they can beat Tarleton State, Air Force, Colorado, BYU, Tech, TCU, Houston, and Kansas. And the Kansas win would all be dependent on the fact that it's that late in the year and maybe they're banged up.
I think you're right. I think 8-4 is the ceiling. I can't see them getting to 9-3. Now, if they are 8-4, could they sneak into the Big 12 title game?
I mean, this year, if they were to go 8-4 and win, even
Utah
if
doesn't
somehow
count as a Big 12 loss.
I was gonna say, and somehow if they were to get Oklahoma State or like get Iowa State instead of one of the other wins that we have, then maybe. But Tibbles doesn't agree.
What's the floor? Or
I think
is there?
I was going to say I think the floor is
3-9 again. 3-9 again. He's going crazy. He doesn't like talking about Aranda. I think the floor, Troy. I think the floor is they lose all 6 road games, which are doable. Utah, Colorado, Iowa State, at Texas Tech, at West Virginia, and then you get picked off by Houston at the end of the year. That's 6 losses. Tarleton to win, Air Force to win. So that's 2 wins. Maybe the seal or the floor is 3-9, where they only win one of those BYU, Oklahoma State, TCU, and Kansas home games. I can't see them losing all those. I think the ceiling 8-4, floor 3-9 again. If they're 6-6 like you project, what do they do with Dave Aranda?
I don't know. Probably let him stay another year.
You think he stays another year at 6-6?
They're not really, like I was saying in the beginning of the episode, they're not. I mean, I guess if they're dumping money into their recruiting now to the point where the coach is just saying it straight up, they might have the money to go get somebody that they feel is a little more desirable. But again, there's not a lot to be excited about. They're not they're not even pulling like one big name recruit on a regular basis anymore. It feels like Aranda might be one of the better candidates for them one way or the other. And Baylor's also always going to have those years where they only win 4 games or they only win 5 games. And they're going to have the expectation years where they only win 7 games. And you're thinking like, this is a 9-win team. What the hell's going on? Well, it's still the Baylor football program. And it's still, it's not even anywhere close to the most important thing going on at the school athletics wise. I mean, I don't see the ceiling being, much higher than 3 wins either. But at 6-6, it feels like Aranda's going to stay. I feel like if they really wanted to get rid of him, he'd already be gone. I
think so too. And gets still in the chat says Aranda has a $20 million buyout if they fire him before 2029. I mean, I think Baylor could find that money if they wanted to. I think if he misses a bowl, he's gone. I think if you miss a bowl back-to-back years in your 4th and 5th year, and then your 3rd year you were 6-7, I think he's got to at least get to a bowl game. It would probably be helpful if he could get to 7 wins. I think 7 wins definitely saves him. So
I think even if he gets his 7th win and it's in a bowl game, then that's going to be like the definite check mark of like, if this guy still wants to be here, we're going to keep him around.
Yeah. I'm with you. So we're both on the over, though. I think we both lean over. I think that there's more paths for them to hit that over 5.5 wins. Do you sprinkle a little bit on that 75-1, or can they catch lightning in a bottle 2 times in 4 years?
I mean, it wouldn't really hurt, right? To put a buck or 2.
It's the Big 12, baby. It's the Big 12. I mean,
if there was going to be any conference that had someone random that wasn't in the top 3 or 4, it's typically the Big 12. Maybe at least you get a shot at just like our Oklahoma State bet last year. At least they make it to the championship game, and you've got some skin in the game.
Yeah, the only problem with taking them, and I know they didn't play well at home last year. They went 1-7. They had 8 home games last year. This year, they got only 4 home games for Big 12 play. They have 5 on the road, and they really have 6 because they go at Utah for an additional one. So their schedule's hard, in my opinion. Well, that's why I think we project 7-5, 6-6 because of the schedule. Agree?
Yeah, I mean, no Arizona, no K-State, no UCF.
That helps.
They're still, we're still thinking 6 wins would be job keepable. They just didn't get a great draw of, some of the actual 50-50 teams like Tech and Colorado. They got to go on the road to play them. If those were home games, I think we'd all be one game higher on our pretty good feeling about definitely getting to 6. Yeah, no favors. TCU at home isn't even really, I mean, it's still going to be a home game, but that's rivalry game, so it doesn't really matter. Crazy shit's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe they can get to 7 in the regular season. We say all this now, and they're getting sent to the glue factory again.
I think 7's possible. I think I think they're 6 or 7. But if they get some injuries on that offensive line, maybe 3 or 4 is back in play again like last year. Or if Aranda can't shore up that defense. So anyway, we'll be here every step of the way. This is preview number 3 here over at the Big 12 College Experience. Troy, this is your team. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
I mean, the fact that Robert Griffin's not back doing stuff for the program in a day and age where there's no such thing as bad press. Why would you not have that guy involved as much as possible and around the team and, giving NIL money publicly to kids and whatnot? That's probably their saving grace if they want to, not necessarily climb to the mountaintop, because I don't know how realistic that is for Baylor, but to, constantly get up on top of a few hills every now and then. Got to take advantage of some of your resources. Go use RG3.
He's got a statue. McLean Stadium's beautiful. I've been to Waco plenty, so don't worry, Baylor fans. If football does go south again, go check out the college basketball experience. I host that every single night, and Baylor's going to be pretty damn good this year, and that's why Troy's got his Baylor National Championship shirt on. That wasn't their football program, although that was a hell of a year for Baylor, where they won that magical.
They would have been like the 5 seed or the 6 seed in the 12-team playoff.
Was that the COVID year?
Yeah.
Or was it the year after the COVID?
Year after. 21 was the year after, right?
Yeah. 21 fall. Everybody started using common sense again, and we started putting people back in the fucking seats. Yeah. I think there were people. 2020 was his first year, and they went 2-7. So yeah. Yep. Yes. Hey, last time Baylor fans, if you got something to look forward to, last time Baylor sucked ass 2-7. What'd they do? They won the Big 12. You look the Matt Rule era. They sucked his first year. Then he made the big jump in year number 2 and 3. And then Art Briles, they were terrible when he got there. He was able to jump. Baylor's got more Big 12 titles than fucking Texas in the last 10, 15 years. That's for damn sure. This is a premier program. We got to get Baylor back, man. But hey, we'll be here every step of the way covering the Baylor Bears this year. And like I said, go check out the college basketball experience with myself. Troy's on that show as well here and there, talking Scott Drew in this good portal class. Turned down Kentucky, comes back to Baylor. Best league in the land. This is preview number 3. Next up on deck are the BYU Cougars. Rush will be back. Rambling Rush, that is. He is at Troy Tuning. I am at Moneyline_Mac. We are the Big 12 College Experience, and we are out of here.